Hello and welcome to the Blue Room live blog. This is a live forum where 25 Perth theatre artists have been invited to share their view on live arts and theatre in Perth. Tonight's blogger is Thomson.
Yay!
And I can hear millions cheering out there in cyberspace. Hi, cyberspace. Just before I start, I just wonder, do we have any paraskevidecatriophobics here today? No, I thought not. They're people who are fearful of Friday the 13th, and if any of you were here tonight, I think you're doing well being up on a high staircase. Yes, tonight is Friday the 13th, and I thought I would base my blog on the concept of Friday the 13th being a day of death and danger. I looked into it on the internet. Where did Friday the 13th myth come from? Many people think it's to do with Jesus. He was the 13th guest at the Last Supper, and then he carved it on the Friday, which we now call good for some strange reason. The Turks virtually banished the number 13 from their lexicon, so scared were they. In the pyramids, when you get rows of pictures, picture 13 depicts death. Both the Hindus and the Vikings had stories about 12 gods being gate-crashed by a god of mischief who caused ruin and death. So all over the world, through many cultures, over many thousands of years really, Friday the 13th has been very scary and equating with death. So I thought, what death can I talk about tonight? And I decided to talk about a death that I fear, and it's the death of the well-made play. Now, I looked up on the internet as well to see, what do I mean by the well-made play? It's actually often used as a derogatory term to describe an old-fashioned play, but if you actually look at the way that it was first used, it sort of describes the plays of the sort that Ibsen and Strindberg and Zola and Chekhov wrote, and many of the plays that we see on the professional stages today. They basically exhibit careful construction, a preparation of theatrical effects that are carefully wrought into the text, tight plots, a climax before interval, a climax towards the end, and plot twists. Some famous examples, comedies would be Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, that's the one, The Importance of Being Earnest. Ibsen's Doll's House, Priestley's The Inspector Calls, all of these have been referred to as well-made plays. And there's many others that you can think of, hundreds of them, thousands of them from all over the world. For this talk, I'd like to open up the definition of the well-made play, not just to do with plots and twists, but basically to mean plays that have been crafted over many months and years by a writer, carefully dramaturged and edited, tested through workshops, and then the writer's work completed and then interpreted by directors and actors, often reinterpreted by different companies around the world. Most of the plays that we know of in the repertoire in this situation are known, we could call, well-made plays. And this style of theatre making is seriously under threat, certainly here in Perth and pretty well around the rest of the country. What do I mean by it's under threat? I want to give you a very good example. I want to talk to you for a little bit about Performing Lines Western Australia. It's a new organisation that was set up late last year by the Department of Culture and the Arts with funding from the Australia Council. Now the history of that was that in 2002, when we had a very big theatre forum for 3 days, the theatre establishment, the industry, one of the things that they voted on very strongly was that they felt we needed a production house. That is a place, a company that could help independent producers to put plays on by doing the administration, by paying the wages, by looking after the tax and the insurance, so that the artists could concentrate on just putting the play on the stage rather than worrying about all the intricacies of having to set up new administrations for every time you do a play. It was a very strongly supported concept. It kind of languished for a few years despite constant struggles until, I don't even remember Premier Gallup, but in the election he won before he retired, it was a promise. One of their arts policies was that the long-awaited theatre production house would be funded. Before the end of that term came, it was revealed. It was advertised and people were asked to apply for it. I know that PAX here applied to become the people that ran this new production house. But by that stage already, because of the Australia Council's interference and their wanting to do similar things to what happened in the eastern states, instead of it being a production house for theatre, it was now to be a production house that looked after 3 theatre companies and 3 dance companies. Already an erosion of what people have been fighting for many years, but in the general sense of collaboration that we artists have, the theatre industry went, well, yeah, okay, bit of dance, bit of theatre, let's go with that. By the time Performing Lines won the commission or the contract or whatever one might call it and became it, they then asked various companies and individuals from around Western Australia to put up their hands if they wanted to be represented by Performing Lines Western Australia. 3 dance companies, 3 theatre companies. The 3 theatre companies who were selected, and look, I have nothing against the standards or the work of these companies at all. I've enjoyed their work. But the 3 companies, these are the 3 theatre companies. We've had 3 dance companies. The 3 theatre companies were the PVI Collective, Steamworks, and Marrigeku Still Company. None of them could do anything like what we would call well-made plays based on scripts from writers. The PVI Collective, according to their website, are a collective of independent artists with backgrounds in visual arts, film theory, new media performance, psychology and live art. No mention of theatre. Steamworks says they do original contemporary performances and events, and their current projects are a dance film, dance performances and a circus project. No theatre. Marrigeku says that they are blending contemporary dance with physical theatre, screen media and music. The word theatre, finally, out of the 3, comes with Marrigeku, who work on stilts and don't deal with scripts. They work with physical theatre. Now, I have no problems with any one of these companies being chosen. My problem is that no company that works in a traditional sense from scripts, that uses words on the stage, was chosen. And the reasons given for them not being chosen was that sort of people in the eastern states aren't very interested in West Australian plays. As a man who runs stage as a playwrights organisation, this offended me in many ways, and it's caused a great deal of contention and stress amongst the small theatre companies, the independent theatre companies and the writers in Western Australia. The theatre industry started off the push for the production house. We end up with a production house that does not look after any theatre companies. If we look upon theatre as being just a little bit restricted into meaning they work from a script basis. Let's look at the new initiative, which I think is a fantastic initiative that the Blue Room here is working with next door with Pika and with Outrage. It's called the WA Theatre Development Initiative. I think it's wonderful. It's a new way of getting funds for sophisticated and ambitious new theatre practice. In order to get the funds, it's a great idea. Instead of having to write a 17-page application, you have to write 1 page. I've got 2 minutes. I think it's a great idea, but again, when you read through the documents, it's patently not for companies that are working on scripts that someone's written. If you look at the list of AusCouncil recipients of grants in the last few years, very few have gone to script-based companies. The last 4 rounds of the DCA, only 3 grants were given to independent companies who were working from original scripts. There were some for adaptations from novels, but from original scripts, the old-fashioned way of a writer sitting at home, creating a play for people to work on. We are being encouraged to replace words with images, to replace deep ideas with symbols and movement, and to replace narrative with circus tricks. 2 humans in conflict on a stage is no longer enough. And I mourn the death of that. I mourn the fact that words are being forgotten and overridden, and that the art of sitting down and writing a play is being conveniently pushed to one side in the concept of being modern. So just on this day, Friday the 13th, I'd just like us all to raise our glasses and mourn the death of the well-made play, the death of the well-made play. But to finish up, I'd just like to say, don't worry, tomorrow is the 14th and it's Valentine's Day. The day after is the 15th and it's my birthday. Things move, things change, but sometimes it's worthwhile holding on to the old ways of doing things. Thank you very much.